Hi everyone, today we are going to see an interesting topic, The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde, presented by Joy Priya, Government Arts and Science College, Valparai. Summary of the story. The Happy Prince is a story by Oscar Wilde. It is about the story of the statue, the Happy Prince, covered with gold and many fine jewels. The story of the Happy Prince dwells upon the theme like social injustice, redemptive power of love, and loss of innocence. In the story, we come across a statue who at one time was a real prince. When the prince was alive, he was a happy person. He lived in a palace and did not know about human sufferings. His life was full of joy. Upon his death, his statue was built at the top of the tall columns in the city. The statue was covered all over with thin leaves of fine gold. For eyes, he had two bright sapphires, and a large red rubies glowed over his cord. The statue of the happy prince looked beautiful, and everyone in the city loved to see the statue of the prince. Since he was placed high above the city on a tall columns, the prince was able to witness all the sorrows and sufferings that common people faced. But the prince remained ignorant of them during his lifetime. This once made the prince sad. His eyes got watered and large drops of tears began to run down from his golden cheeks. A little swallow who has alighted between the feet of the happy prince to spend the night there became curious to know that from where did these drops fall. He looked up and saw that the eyes of the prince was full of tears. The bird took pity on the prince and became ready to do him in his desire to ease the sufferings of the common people. He became the messenger of the prince and agreed to remove the lion, gold, and jewels from his statue to distribute them among the poor and the needy. He started with plucking the ruby from the prince's sword and giving it to the seamstress who had no money to feed her ailing child. Then he plucked a sapphire from one of the eyes of the statue and gave it to the playwright who was too poor to make fire in the winter to common his writing. He was also very hungry and feeling weak. One day, the prince saw a match girl who was being beaten by his father for leading her match false in the culture. The prince, filled with pity for that girl, he immediately commanded the swallow to pluck. But the swallow was not ready to do this because this would make the prince completely blind. On being instead, he plucked out the prince's other eye, passed the match girl and the jewel into the girl's hand. The little bird decided not to leave the company of the happy prince who has gone blind now. Although the prince was not able to see the sorrows and sufferings of the people, he knew it was there. So he instructed the bird to take off the fine gold he was covered with and give it to the poor. The bird followed his words and picked off the gold leaves one by one till the happy prince looked quite dull and grey. Then the snow came and the poor little swallow grew older and colder. But he did not leave the prince, he grew older and died. Just at the moment, a sound of the crack came from the statue and something has broken. It was in fact the leaden heart that had right into two at the loss of sweet and kind swallow. The statue was no money beautiful and was useless. It stood aside, so the councillor and the mayor pulled it down. Then they melted the statue, but the laden heart did not melt. So they throw it a dust heap where the dead swallow was lying. Conclusion. When God asked one of his angels to bring the two most precious things in the city, the angel brought him the laden heart and the dead bird. God welcomed the two in his garden of paradise and deemed them the beautiful creation. So this is one of the interesting story. Thank you all of you for watching. We will meet with another interesting summary of the story and poem. Thank you.